This is my podcast for this week. I find quotations and I put them on Google Notes or I put them in my journal and then I'll stumble upon them later. I found one about the Ring of Gyges. The Ring of Gyges is a tale told in the Republic. It's a tale told to prove to Socrates that there really is no such thing as justice. People behave justly because they're forced to, by the state or by pressure from others, or by the opinions of others. But if given the opportunity, we'd do whatever we wanted to do, whether it was intrinsically good or not. The Ring of Gyges is a ring that if you put it on, you become invisible. It's kind of like the ring in The Lord of the Rings. Perhaps that's where Tolkien got the idea from. And the point is, if you could be invisible, you could do anything and not get caught. You could steal. You could spy on people. If you were a teenage boy in high school, you could go into the girls' locker room and they'd never know it. Who wouldn't do that? Well, the question is integrity. Are you really a person of integrity? And when the chips are down, how do you respond? I think much of what's going on with the lockdown, although hopefully we're almost out of the woods, is just this. It's revealing, what do people do when the pressure's on, when the chips are down? Do they show themselves to be selfish or selfless? You learn a lot from these times of testing. So there's two quotes I want to share with you. One is from a website. And this author, Morrissey is his name, talks about the Ring of Gyges. He says, the thought experiment breaks down, however, if there exists a man for whom there is no divided self. For this man, his inner life is no different from the life he leads on the outside. For such a man, the ring of power poses no threat, because it will make absolutely no difference with respect to how he will live his life. In his case, he has been living his life in harmony, the transparent harmony between his inner and outer self all along. The ring of power, then, is a mythical tale that in fact turns out to be true. At least it is true for anyone who lives a divided life, concealing an inner life that is in any way contrasted with his outer life. In other words, we all possess the ring of power already. It is the ability to lie, to conceal, to have an inner life that is not fully shown on display in one's outer life. In other words, not to have integrity. Because integrity is being one, it is being unified inside and out. We are told by St. James in his epistle that if we pray to God and we are not of a double mind, we will get what we ask for. If we are double-minded, we won't. If we're tossed about on the waves, we won't. We will waver. Well, the ring of power is a temptation, but you don't have to put it on. We all have this ring like Frodo. We can lie. It's especially difficult for guys in particular, and some women, but almost universally for guys in this era of internet pornography that is available securely, safely. You don't have to be embarrassed. You can access it. No one will ever know. It's like the ring. It's a fantasy world for most men who are excited by visual images. The only reason not to avail yourselves of that is to recognize it's wrong, and to do it is wrong. Even most Christians have trouble with that. I mean, Christians are as hypocritical, maybe more hypocritical than most people, because we're supposed to be striving for something better. So there you go, right there. Anyone who could avoid that is not putting on the ring. Anyone who avoids lying, anyone who avoids falling into the selfish anxiety of our day is acting with a certain integrity. Well, perhaps only saints have complete integrity, maybe only in heaven, but certainly here's something. This is about Joan of Arc. What does her early life tell us? The court sent an investigator to her village to find evidence to use against Joan, but he found nothing I would not be happy to learn about my own sister. Many people have contradictory traits or intentionally show different sides to different people. Joan was not like that. Everybody saw the same Joan. Over and over in their reports, she is described as good, simple, pious, good, chaste, and simple, sweet-natured, and of good behavior, devout, patient, going readily to church. So who is this girl? Like a table carved out of a single block of wood, Joan is of a piece. She is not a jigsaw contraption with gaps and loose pieces. She is at one with herself. Integrity, that's what the word means. An integer, integrated. And she does not dream to be different. She knows who she is. And the solid, straight-lined girl who is Joan knows that she can tell the difference between a good voice and a bad one. One of the things that integrity will get you is the ability to discern spirits, apparently, or you might even say just prudence. It's easier to be prudent when you're integrated yourself. Harder if you're a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Well, at any rate, this was the girl who had been told to raise the siege of Orleans. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not that integrated. I tend to be much more of a hypocrite. But the funny thing is, I think if we realize that we always have that ring, we can always put it on and join forces with the powers of darkness, which is what happens in The Lord of the Rings. We're all bearing that ring. We all have access to easy sins that we can commit and that would make things easier for us. And when we don't, even in mundane ways, even in small, unnoticed ways, day in and day out, then we are bearing our crosses, even though no one but God may notice, and even though no one may hail us as a hero. And yet we will know that we are the same throughout our inner life and our outer life. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me, as St. Paul says. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. May we all have that integrity.